Mania 1 stuff. I thought that was like a great WrestleMania top to bottom. I've got into I never really was into the luchadors, but watching Eddie Guerrero and Chris Benoit doing their stuff, I really got into that. I say I'm a good luchador fan.
Right, yeah.
All the bridges and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I think that
when they get scientific, it's exciting.
Yeah, I think that there's enough time on a wrestling card to have both. I'm not really too much into the death-defying jumps and the Mick Foley and Sandman stuff.
Yeah.
But Mick Foley was really good, and I thought it was funny that Mick Foley did all that hardcore stuff, but he probably got more over with Mr. Sacco and stuff like that.
Yeah.
His other stuff. When that wrestling was hot, like in '97 and stuff, it was good stuff on, whatever channel you turned it to. I remember, Stone Cold was doing his stuff, and The Rock was doing his stuff.
Rock, people want The Rock back more than anything nowadays,
Wrestling's going through a lull right now, and like anything, you see the NFL, they go through a lull and stuff like that. So, it will come back around for sure, but it's just. It is what it is,
I hear you.
And wrestling, was it 92, 93, was just terrible.
Yeah.
It was.
You could have some good matches, but it was like Power Rangers.
It was pretty much like Shawn Michaels in the WWE, and that was it, And even then, he was having trouble wrestling people.
In WCW, the only matches during the year of 1993 that I can point to were Sting and Vader. That was it.
Yeah, that was fair.
They could have put on greater stuff. They had to put on greater stuff in '92.
Yeah.
Him and Vader.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I just think that now, and I understand why these guys do it, but they just need to. Sort of like in the MMA, where like Chuck Liddell, he was great, but he got beat so many times. And it's time maybe not for him to move on to other things, but to have more of an advisory commentator role.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of guys now that still feel they can wrestle, but what level is it?
Yeah, I know it. Let's see. What are your favorite wrestling storylines of all time?
I really like the NWO when Hogan changed. No one really saw that coming. Everyone thought that Hogan was, the Hey Brother and the Red and Yellow and the Hulkamaniacs. And, he changed. That was pretty good, And then the whole NWO thing was good. It's just that,
we had too much going on.
Well, yeah, when they had 8 hours of live TV a week, it just got to the point where, a 6-month, storyline came into 2 weeks, So, yeah, and another thing too that I noticed with wrestling and the wrestling now as compared to the wrestling previously, back in the day, you used to have feuds that last 2-3 years. And now, if the feud lasts 2 pay-per-views, it's huge,
Yeah.
So, they just, and I don't, a lot of people would say, well, that's because they're trying to keep things hot and current, but at the same time, maybe you need to, have, I don't know, Undertaker and Shawn Michaels, they're doing, they've had sometimes, yeah. But that's not the first time they've really feuded, right?
No, not at all. No, they've
throughout the years they've had issues.
Yeah, exactly. So it was kind of like them finishing up for the most part. So, how has Christianity affected your wrestling career? How do they coincide?
Christianity challenged my wrestling. Actually, challenged my Christianity. So, it was being on the road is tough. But at the same time, the way you're brought up and the way that to have that moral backbone, it helps out quite a bit. So, it's definitely not like something where I meet someone, I'm like, hey, I used to be a wrestler, and hey, I'm a Christian. But when people get to know me, they understand these things are who I am.
Makes sense. Well, I want to thank you, Mr. Reis.
All right, now what other questions can I ask you?
You can ask me anything you want.
And what kind of gimmick are you going to do? No, I want you to have it on the radio.
Oh, you want me to have it on the radio? Okay, why not, for a record? Okay.
There you go.
I actually have, believe it or not, 4 or 5 that I'm ready to try.
Okay.
Number 1 right now, I'm going with my friend, and we want to be a tag team to start off. He's a Christian as well. He's about my height, 140 pounds, soaking wet.
Hard to do tag teams now. At one time they were very big, but no one You know, they don't do like standard tag teams anymore.
I know. They could get a little bit in TNA. They're still trying to keep it alive. And then also in Chikara, they're all about tag teams. I'm not sure that they have an actual singles title, believe it or not.
Really?
Their big titles for the most part are the Campeones de Parejas, which means tag team championships in Spanish.
I'll have to check them out. So they're like an Anglo Lucha Libre?
Partially, and they incorporate some Puro into it too, some Japanese stuff. But it's a lot of different stuff. But the main backbone, they go by Lucha Libre rules, like the 20 count outside the ring, you know, the stuff like that. 2
referees or one?
One actually, but they have 2 main referees that are on the staff, and so they work together kind of. One thing I like about them,
the heel ref and the baby face, or?
No, they have the head ref and the sort of clueless ref.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? The one that's kind of like, you know, the rookie, so to speak. And then one of the things that I like also that they do is they change up their announce team every match. So actually they have wrestlers, referees, ring announcers, just all kinds of different characters from all over the show announcing the matches.
That's interesting.
And it really gets to be good when you have someone like Ultramantis Black, who's their number 1 bad guy, talks like this, completely just totally evil. You know, not Dudley Do, right? Dick Dastardly of wrestling. And he's talking about how the baby faces are such hypocrites because they did this move and stuff. And then, you know, the next match you'll have the head referee talking about, you know, the very scientific parts of the holds and stuff like that, and it really adds.
Because that's like one thing that a lot of people don't know about like pro wrestling is, I mean, all those holds.
Mm-hmm.
Like seriously, you know, if you put them on variations, I mean, like, seriously, like, you know, like the figure 4, I mean, that can hurt.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
You know, you just gotta cinch it in there.
Why do you think people will actually go and use it in MMA? I've seen it used in MMA.
Figure 4?
Yeah.
That's pretty tough to get into.
It is hard to get into. They actually had a roundabout way of getting into it too, but they
like the Code Red, I guess. What was that?
Amazing Red, the Yoshitonic.
But the arm thing.
How does that one work?
You know, where you get underneath the arm out, they get underneath the elbow.
Yeah. See, Code Red to me, they have all kinds of new names and stuff now, and it's always changing. The Code Red to me is an amazing red move. Okay. Anyway, but yeah.
Well, I don't know what that move, I mean, that hurts.
Oh, absolutely.
You see that in UFC all the time.
I mean, one of the things you have to study is the, they show you obviously in a school, but it's the way that they do it as opposed to the legitimate way they do it too.
Yeah.
Because, like, a step over toe hold, a lot of the times I see the way they do that is they get their legs straight through as opposed to sitting on their knees.
Yeah.
When you sit on your knees, you know, you're going to rip it out of a guy's side.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you can hurt guys with those moves.
Mm-hmm.
Even like a hammer lock, you know. That's,
oh, yeah.
You get it in there, you get it cranking pretty good.
You were asking about my gimmick, right? The main one I'm working on is the charismatic K9 Joshua Slater. Slayter. To separate myself from any kind of Heath Slater in WCW or Dick Slater back in the day, you know, separate myself. But, and my tag team partner is, the Professor Dex Kramer. And he's, you know, like I said, my height, 140 pounds soaking wet. Really, skinny guy, but he's strong too because he's a, volunteer firefighter in training.
Oh, really?
So he can pick me up pretty well. And his whole gimmick, I came up with it for him mainly, but he's digging it now and he's rocking it big time. And that is just the super geek, the geek that everyone loves. Before he gets geared up for a move, his version of hulking up is he takes his goggles up here that he wears in the ring, you know, and puts them down here, a little wiggle, right, and it just goes for it, you know. So that's his sort of thing and gets people geared up. But
now, what is your gimmick going to be?
It's kind of hard to describe. I mean, the biggest thing, I guess, would be the howl, you know, and very much a face, but the energetic kind of sting face, quite honestly. You know, I mean, this was one of the first ones that I ever came up with, and the only reason I'm doing it is because I feel like it would be the easiest for me to do, you know, because it's the closest to who I am. It's very over the top energy, going nuts, likes to have fun, but at the same time, destructively scientific.